Ranks. So without much further ado, passing to Dr. Hedy.
How you doing? Thanks for
Hooray!
coming out on a long weekend
Sitting in those.
and on a
Okay.
sunny day outside. I know it's kind of coolish, but it's still sunny and we should be outside. No.
We should be sitting.
We
in
should
a
be sitting
circle with
outside
you.
in the sun.
In the sun.
But thanks for coming out, and I appreciate it. And I know that the last election really, our party took a body blow. There's no other way to put it. I think we were all shocked and surprised at what happened. What I wanted to say is that we could easily say this has happened before. In 1958, we were down to 39 seats. In 1984, under John Turner, we went down to 40. We are now at 33, which is smaller than those two, but we're still down. I mean, we've seen politics is a cycle. Politics is not a linear thing. And if you look, the Conservatives were down to 2 in 1993. Today, they're a majority government. So the thing to remember about politics is it's not linear, it's cyclical. It'll rise and it will fall. It will rise and it will fall because of various things. Our big job, I think, right now is to ask ourselves, why and how did we get here? We know that we are at that, and we know that we can go up again. We've done it before. We've seen other political parties do it before. But if we're going to really renew ourselves, which is what we're really engaged in doing, we need to always do, I'm a physician. You could have had a great operation, the patient was well, the patient went home in 10 days. We do postmortems, and when I say a postmortem, not just real postmortem, but we also down and say, could we do the operation better? Could the patient go home in 5 days instead of 10? Could the patient recover sooner and better? So it is always worth one's while, no matter how successful you are or unsuccessful you are, to sit down and say, I know it's a wave, I know we're down today, we could be up tomorrow, but why did we go down? Did this happen suddenly? Was this coming a long time? Did we not see it? If we didn't see it, why not? If we saw it and didn't do anything about it, why not? What are the lessons we learned? Have we been arrogant? And there is another cycle. People start, they try, they get elected to government, maybe they don't get a majority, maybe whatever, but after they've been government for 2 or 3 terms, there's this sense of entitlement, there's this sense of, I know it all, look at me, people vote for me, we're always going to be here. And then arrogance sets in, and it doesn't matter what the political party is, it is another cycle to remember in politics. So we need to ask ourselves, did we fall for that? Were we just sitting there thinking we're the natural governing party? Because we have been for 75% of the history of this country. As a federation, liberals have been government. Do we believe that we always felt that, oh well, we'll lose and somebody will come in and they have a term and then we'll be back again, we don't have to do anything. Did we do that? Those are the questions we have, and we have to be brutally honest. Did we do that? And what are we going to do about it? How are we going to not do it again? What is it we didn't do well as an organization? Structure, So we're talking first and foremost about, were we arrogant? Secondly, is this just a blip and should we just continue same old? Or did we do some things wrong? Is our structure as a party wrong? Have we been moved away from the people? Have we forgotten how to talk to the people and listen to the people? Were we irrelevant? Did we not have anything to say to Canadians that resonated with them? Were we talking about, bicycles when they were talking about rollerblades? I mean, were we on a different plane? That's a bad thing for a political party to be in, a different plane from what people are thinking. And did that come from believing that because we know it all, because we've been in that little bubble called Ottawa, and we've been there, done that we have all the answers, and that we know what the posters are telling us are important, what everybody else in the bubble in Ottawa are telling us is important to Canadians. I mean, I know as a member of Parliament, this is going to be my 7th election, my 18th year as a member of Parliament. I know that I'm in Ottawa, and I always have to be very careful. You listen to what the news is saying, what the media in Ottawa is focused on, and then you go back to your writing, and you see that people go, what are you talking about? I don't know about that. That's not interesting to me. I'm actually interested in this. which central media, and national media, and central party doesn't even know is happening. So those are the questions we have to be brutally frank. We have to talk about them. We have to assess them. We have to say, where did we go wrong? Are we a top-heavy party? Do all the decisions get made in this central place? Do we just think that members are only here for when an election comes? They come out and they work themselves to the bone for 35 days, and then they go back into the woodwork and pretend to ignore them unless we have a fundraiser? Is that true? Is that what we've been doing? Should we ask ourselves how we do things differently? Should there be a way in which we bubble from the bottom upward as from the top down and meet somewhere here where we are all listening to each other? Do we listen to each other? And if we listen, it's one thing to listen. It's another thing to actually hear what is being said. So do we listen? Do we come out to all the areas of the 308 ridings, and we have this little deep thing where we sit down and everybody tells us what's wrong, and then we go back and we go, right, definitely right. And we do the same things because we think they don't know what they're talking about, because they're not politicians really, they don't get it. Have we been guilty of doing that? I think we have to be brutal about ourselves and what has happened to us, because we didn't get here, I believe, from what I've been hearing when I've traveled around the country. We didn't get here yesterday. We've been getting here for a bit. We didn't see the warning signs, we didn't see the signs and symptoms, we didn't either that, or we were a little too arrogant to deciding that we knew at all and ignored what we were hearing, what we were seeing. Did we? Those are the questions we have to ask. Did we invest too much time in the leader and not in the party? Did we forget what it was to be liberals and to be a liberal movement? And did we just say, no, we just need a Messiah to come and lead us out of the wilderness and take us to the promised land? We don't have to do anything. We just have to sit around and do things as always, and then this person will come. And I say, if that's what we're looking for, then we better get Justin Bieber to be our leader, because he's charismatic enough and he's going to take us to be the next prime minister. Those are the things we have to ask ourselves. When we talk about policy, did we listen? Really? Are we doing it the right way? In today's world, should we only have policy conventions in which you have to pay $1,100 to come as a delegate, and only certain delegates get picked, and so you only hear from the creme de la creme, from all of these people who say the same things over and over? How do we engage Canadians? How do we convince Canadians that actually there is room in a country like Canada for a party like the Liberal Party, where ideology is not what moves us, but evidence, information, knowledge, looking at where the right things to go, broad-based listening. The values that we hold as liberals, did we forget them? Did we ever talk about them? Did we ever feel that we may need to have people come and join us because they believe in those same things? I know that Mr. Harper has been basically telling everyone that the Canadians have suddenly become conservatives. They've all espoused conservative values. I'm here to say that I've not been hearing that. That since this election, people have come to me and say, I want to join. Where do I sign up? There has to be a Liberal Party in Canada. There has to be a party that is this kind of centrist, central movement that also is not afraid to take risks and to sometimes deal with the problems even though they're uncomfortable ones. We don't want the two ideological bookends on one side, which is, this is a matter of faith, I believe this is so, I believe this is so. So people have been coming forward and speaking. But what are we doing to listen to them? What are we doing to change the way our party functions? How can we make that difference? Do you, as people sitting in this room, believe the Liberal Party is on the right track? The Liberal Party was doing the right things. How do we change that? You have to be agents of change. I will actually always believe that the Liberal Party, or any party, any organization, is a three-legged stool. One leg is the membership and the grassroots. One leg are the executive people that help to run and coordinate and make things happen. And in the case of politics, the other leg are the elected people and the Senate. We have three legs. If all three legs are not firm and solid, it's unbalanced too. Right? You're going to fall one way or the other. And if you have one leg that is totally shaken and broken, the stool will never stand up. Are we a party that is allowing those three components of the party actually strong? Are we Are they all equally strong? Are they all working together, moving in the same direction, like a well-oiled sort of machine? Should we be a party in which we talk about the Liberal family? I mean, Bob Ray made a speech, which I thought was an interesting one this weekend at the National Caucus. He said, you know, everybody likes to talk about the Liberal family. He said, I should know. It's hard to break into a family. We are a movement. We're more than a family. People should feel that they can join because we speak to them, their needs, to their desires, to their concerns, to their issues, not as some sort of hierarchical structure that sits there and they can join and then be considered to be redundant until they are needed. So, I mean, those are some of the things we're talking about. We still have the ability to move people, do we? If so, how do we reach them? And not only how do we reach them, but how do we listen to them? Those are the things we need to talk about as we speak about renewal in this party. It means that we don't take the party and crack it up into smithereens and then build a new edifice. It's that we look at the edifice that we have because some things in it are good. How do we keep the good, get rid of the dead wood, create new systems, create new organizational structure, listen more, be more open, be more inclusive, and actually take the pulse of the people and feel that pulse and listen to that pulse and go where that pulse is telling us to go. Those are some of the questions that we need to ask for ourselves. And as we move forward and we are rebuilding and we're renewing ourselves, I also want to hear from you about what you think needs to be done. What did you see coming from where you are? This is not a right or wrong answer. This is not a quiz. Nobody's going to give you lines after school if you say the wrong thing. Nobody's going to go and say, you know what? I was listening there and John said this. I'm going to go back and I'm going to tell on John. This is not about that. This is about really being open, trusting each other to tell the truth, even though it sometimes hurts. And even though it's sometimes a bitter truth for us to tell. Because we will never be able to have that renewal unless we do that in an open manner, believing strongly and with passion that there is a need in this country for a Liberal Party of Canada. But how do we do that in 2011 or for the 21st century? Have we been living in the 19th century, 18th, 20th century for too long? Have we been doing it the same old way, that's the only way we think we can do it? Those are real questions I want to hear from you as we move forward. But more than anything, I think we need to work together. This is about the three stools being equally strong, respecting each other, the membership respecting the elected people and the Senate and the elected people respecting the membership respecting the executive respecting the membership. How do we do that? How do we build that structure? Because if we don't build it, we were going to go the way of the dinosaur, because we would not have been able to become the things we say we are. And so I want to hear from you, and I want you to be blunt, and I want you to be frank, and I want you to be very honest about it. Now, we have moved forward. Is the move forward in renewal done? You know, we got hit over the head with a 2x4 for 3 months, everyone going, oh my gosh, look, ooh, I better listen to you, oh my gosh, yes, I'm listening to you, and have we forgotten it again and we've gone back to the same old way? Are we stepping back? No, you have to be on guard. You of all people, as a membership, have to be on guard. You have to say, yo, you guys are doing it again, aren't you? You just patted us on the head for a couple of months and now you're forgetting us and you're going back to the same old ways. You have to be strong enough to do that. You have to be strong enough to bubble up and say, you are going back into the same old things that are bad. If you revert to the things that are good, great, but don't go back to the bad old ways. And we're going to check you, we're going to keep you going. Because guess what? We are the wind beneath your wings. We are the baseboard that you sit on. And if you're going to ignore us and we get rotten underneath you and we pick up our toys and go home, or refuse to vote, as many Liberals in my riding told me, I'm not voting. I don't like anybody. I'm sick and tired of my party. My party has blah, 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 blah. I heard it. And did I hear it? Some of it I didn't even understand. I didn't realize. I didn't know that. And some of it I did know. So again, we're moving forward. We're renewing ourselves. Some things we've listened to. I know in British Columbia, and I can only speak for British Columbia, in terms of the grassroots movement. All of the 36 members of the 36 ridings in British Columbia, all of their presidents, came together in a teleconference after the election. They spoke to the president of the LPCBC and they said, here is it. We've had it. We've seen this coming, this is what's happened, this is what's happened, this is what happened. We want you not to go and bow to the common will. We want you to come and let us you know this is what we're saying. And he did. It's a good president, I have to say. He got there and he sat at this national executive meeting and he gave it to the national executive meeting. He said, I'm the messenger here. This is what I'm telling you. I heard from those writings that have never elected a Liberal for 75 years. I'm hearing it from the writings that just lost a safe Liberal seat. I am hearing it from these people and you'd better listen. And the National Party listened. So there are many things that we're doing right now. Now we have an interim leader. They said, many, and I'll be frank with you, many of them felt that, people told me that they felt that we were not a Democratic Party anymore. That in the last election, we didn't have an election for a leader. We anointed a leader and we kicked out the others who were running. The membership didn't have a chance to speak. They didn't have a chance to vote. We heard that clearly. I heard that from British Columbians. I think the party heard it. You can't start running the centrist party where everybody's saying what they want to do here and Ottawa, everybody's talking to themselves, singing the same tune. We need to be part of it. So, many Liberals stayed at home. That's a fact. Many Liberals actually wanted to stop Stephen Harper, and they didn't find a home with us to do that. Many progressive Conservatives wanted to stop Stephen Harper and couldn't come to the home they always came to, which is the Liberals. They voted for the Liberals for a while. Many Canadians wanted to, who didn't vote for anybody, who were centrist in their sort of small L Liberal leanings, always would have gone to the Liberal Party wanting to stop Stephen Harper, didn't. There was this big movement, we saw what happened in Quebec, where they decided that they didn't want to have the Bloc Québécois anymore, and they were looking for a home. 58 ridings were looking for a home in Quebec. So they would have come to us, because they didn't like Harper either, because they felt that he was doing things that they couldn't agree with, because Quebecers have this far more sort of social conscience, I would say, than the rest of Canada. They had moved it a little bit further along in their social conscience and their social policy. They didn't want Stephen Harper anymore. They were looking for a home, and normally that home is always a Liberal Party, and they all said no. They said, your party is no longer relevant to us. And they went to somebody else, to a person, not a party. 48% in a recent poll showed that 48% of the people who voted for the NDP voted for Jack Layton as a man, and not for the NDP as a party. They did not espouse the NDP's policies. They didn't particularly like them, but they were moved by Layton's three things: his courage in the face of a terminal illness, the ability to stand up there and fight, to beat the odds, to be brave, to walk with a broken hip, his upbeat, positive attitude while that was happening. They said, gosh, that's what we want in a leader. We want that we want that man we want. And so they did. Now, he's gone. What will happen to the NDP? The 48% of people who didn't vote for the NDP voted for Jack, who felt that the only way to stop Stephen Harper was to run over to this guy that they felt would go to bat, fight, stop Stephen Harper. Then we hear from all the other people who said, oh my goodness, the media told us in the last 5 days of the election that the NDP could form a government, and all of those Liberals and PCs and everybody who were going to vote went, oh no, we got to stop that, and they went, boom, better the devil we know than the devil we don't know. And so we had what happened. Complete polarization of votes, and in the middle sat the Liberal Party, irrelevant, unable to get the public trust, and we have to stop like that. There are lots of things that we're talking about. We're talking about different ways of reaching people instead of looking at being a political party that speaks to the issue of join the party and then you can have a say. We're saying, you know what, as Liberals, we believe in certain things. Here's what we believe. We think healthcare is fundamentally important. We want to renew healthcare. You want to renew healthcare? Let's have a talk. Here's what we think we should do. And if you agree, join the chat, join the talk. Come in. You don't have to join the party. You just have to talk about the same common things, the same things. And that way, the movement will grow. People will say, you know, I'm not a Liberal, for God's sake, but I like what they're saying about that. I like the way they're dealing with the environment. I like the idea that they have a creative plan for looking at poverty. I like this, I like this. And coming together based on a community of ideas, a community of objectives, a community of common goals. And that, I think, is where we need to move as a movement, all coming together, people, without having to necessarily be liberals. And you know what you do when you actually start agreeing with a group of people, you actually come to their things and you might throw $5 in the pot to help them to achieve their goals. That may be how we build again. That may be the right way to build. So those are some of the things that we need to talk about. I mean, we can talk about policy. Bob said very clearly that there are so many things that now that there are a majority government that we're hearing from the Conservatives that we are concerned about. We had about a month and a half under them in the House of Commons, and what we heard were extraordinary things. They came to committees, which are standing committees, which are not political organizations. Standing committees are made up of all parties. They are there to be neutral, to be built on good public policy, to do the right thing regardless of partisanship. We heard, we're in a majority government now. You guys don't matter. Liberals, forget you. We're going to be bullies. We're going to say what the committee is going to do. Well, that is subverting the parliamentary process, because there's parliament and there's government. Government does public policy, etc. Parliament is a place where you put aside partisanship and you discuss what is going on. Well, they have taken over the reins of all these neutral places now. They've said so, and they keep saying, we're majority. There's more of us, so we can do this, we can do that, we can do this. And so they've bullied their way now into most of these areas. I think this is something that is deeply concerning to us, because Parliament has now become that institution in a democracy of Parliament has now become a partisan place where only one group of people are saying. So the government is not only running the government, they're running Parliament. They're running the Senate. They don't like judges. There are a lot of brand new Supreme Court judges up for grabs. They're going to run the judiciary because they don't like the idea that the judiciary is an independent, neutral, non-partisan place to just implement the law. In fact, we even had an unheard of thing at the Bar Association, the annual general meeting, the Canadian Bar Association, where they actually said that the government is doing a lot of things that they feel counterproductive and that contrary to democratic principles, that they're going to have to speak out. Where the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Canada, Bev McLaughlin, stood up and she said, I just want to thank you, the Bar Association, for standing up for justice and for rule of law in this country. She said what people have to know is that the Supreme Court of Canada and the courts of this land are here to interpret the law, not to spread public policy. We're not here to do the government's bidding and the government's wishes. We are here to interpret the law blindly, neutrally, and straight ahead. And if the government doesn't like it, and their policies are not in keeping with the law, then they're going to have to do what they wish to do with that. But we're not here to interpret and to be guided by government policy. We're guided by the rule of law, and one thing only. Those are the fundamentals of a democratic society. And even though it didn't gel, the democracy thing, most people feel we're living in a democracy, they can get up and walk out there and buy what they want, they can say what they want, they think that this democracy thing is a crock. But we have to be watching. We have to be aware that the democratic institutions in this country are at huge risk and are crumbling. So those are some of the things that's happening in terms of public policy. We are concerned about what we're going to do, what we're going to look at, how we're going to ever come up with good public policy, how we're going to travel across this country, because we know that we are hearing that there is a bit of an undercurrent that says we don't have any money to spend, so parliamentary committees cannot go and talk to the people. They can't travel. We can't bring people in to talk to parliamentary committees. We don't have money for that kind of nonsense. So those things are going to happen, and that is an erosion of the role of the people in a democracy. You know, what a democracy, they used to say, is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And if you cut the people out, what you have is a dictatorship. Now that is going to be using the term, we're in a recession, we don't have any money, to stop that from happening. So there are going to be things that are occurring that you need to look at. And when we develop policy as a Liberal Party, are we going to do it the same way? As we talked about now, going out there online and building a movement of people of common ideas, common ground, common concerns. But we also have another thing that we did a lot, very well as a party. As you all know, I don't know how many of you were at that constitutional conference where you had to vote, the telephone conference, because that's a good way of getting the sense of what the grassroots are saying. Because a lot of people don't have a computer, don't own a laptop, or if they do, only go into it to get a document. They don't know how to use it, and they don't know how to use it well. But everybody has a phone. Even the senior at home has a phone, because if something happens to her, she's got to pick up a phone and call for 911 or whatever. So everyone has a phone, and that phone convention worked very, very well. It was excellent. 2,500 people voted. Click, 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 bang, bang, bang. Now it's time to vote. You have had debate. Here's a debate. X for, X against. Let's now vote. It worked very well for those of you who are. That's another way we can reach people in rural areas where they don't have Wi-Fi, they don't have internet, in people who can't afford to. So we can hear from everybody. Because it takes, what is it? I think they've halved the cost of coming to this policy convention from $1,100 to $400. But you know what, it's an auto, everybody's got to still get there. So when you have the, what is it, I don't know, no matter what cheapest price you can get, it's still going to be at $400. There are people who are liberals, who want to belong to a party, who want to participate, for whom $50 is too much to come to something. We need to get those voices heard. And this is a way of doing it, this telephone, teleconferencing, telelistening, you know, getting a person who is very able to deal with that many people, like Peter Milliken was in that convention, and get that moving. So we need to be able to look at that. We're coming up with a policy convention. You are voting for a new executive. Don't just vote for it because your friend told you they're going to vote for Joe, or your friend told you they hate Joe's guts. Find out what Joe stands for. Hold our executive accountable. Know that they are going in the way you think the party should go, and not the same old, same old. You have an opportunity to be part of the renewal in more ways than policy, but in ways of deciding who is going to be at the hierarchical structures within your party. How is that going to work? What is that process going to be? Do you want that process changed? Are you prepared to really, with the same kind of attention that you put to voting for your candidate or your nomination meetings, look for the best person? The person that's going to fulfill what you think that is necessary to fulfill. Listen, be aware, ask questions. Say, you want me to vote for you, you come here and tell me how wonderful you are, and you walk away and I never see you again? I don't think I want to vote for you. If I did that in my life, I wouldn't get any votes. I'm going to say, yeah, we elected you and we never see you, and then when it's election you come and say, oh, vote for me again? Forget it. So you have to be that kind of accountability structure in the party that says, I'm electing an executive, whether it's an Alberta executive, whether it's a riding executive, whether it's the national executive, we're going to make sure that they are accountable to us for the things we think are important to us as a party. I do not subscribe to the idea that there is no such thing as a liberal in Alberta. You hear? I know when you tell me that a candidate got 1,500 votes, the 1,500 people in that riding who are voting liberal. So how do we mobilize it? How do you break that thing that says, I don't care what anybody says. We are a part of Canada. We will decide for ourselves. We will form a strong liberal movement in this country, in this province, and we will do it regardless. And it's about standing up again and being counted. And I think we need more of that a little bit. We tend to forget that everybody wanders off and does their own thing, and then when an election comes, everyone comes and helps, and then you go back into the woodwork. Let us not go back into the woodwork. A movement is only as strong as its grassroots. And we're going to have to be strong. We're going to have to be out there. We're going to have to do what we can do. Fundraising is a big piece of it, because as you now know, within 3 years, we will no longer be getting that per vote dollar that we used to get, $1.95 that we used to get. That Stephen Harper has canceled that. So within 3, it's phased out for 3 years. Within 3 years, any money that we have as a proposal is going to be money that we raise. How do we start raising money the way conservatives have been doing it? Which is, thank you very much. You have $5 for me, Thank you, I appreciate you have a buck to give me that's already been, I think it's great. Thank you. Not, we will only have $150 plate things, we will only have $100 plate things, we will only have $400 plate things. It's going to be, if you belong and you want to belong, whatever you have, we want. Whether it's up here, whether it's a dollar bill, whether it's washing dishes, cutting sandwiches, we need you, we want you, you are welcome. This is truly inclusive. It's not just those who have money who are going to be included. We need to think about it that way. We've got to walk away from this concept that we can have these big dollar items and get a lot of money and that's, everything's going to be like that. So I think those are the other things we have to talk about. And we have to put our minds to it. How do we fundraise locally? How do we fundraise regionally? How do we fundraise nationally? Because we need all of those 3 layers to be strong, to be able to do the things that the party needs to do. And we found, because we come from the West, right? We only have 2 of us in BC, 2 Liberals, meeting in a phone booth when we can. We don't have a lot of people. We've tapped them out. An election every 2 years, tapped out everybody. Then there's provincial elections, another tap. Then municipal elections, another tap. In an economically downturn time, we can't keep going hand in hand. So we have to be smart, and I think we need to talk about how we do things. In BC, one of the things that some areas did who never had an MP is that they would come together. You take the Surrey Delta area. They would come together and have a fundraiser. If Riding A managed to sell 25 tickets, and the total number of tickets is 100, they get 25% of the tick. So coming together, because you can't keep going over and over and saying to somebody, come to my riding thing, and then go to the other person's riding thing, and the other person's riding thing, and then suddenly find out that you don't have enough money to go to all those things. Because the concept that we have $1,100 that each individual can give really seems to believe that everybody has $1,100 that they're going to donate to politics, right? Some people don't have $1,100, they don't have 5, they don't have 4, they don't have 3. Some people have $50 a year that they say, I can put into my party, or $20 a year I can put into my party. So that we therefore need to be smart, we need to come together, we need to work as teams. You know, we need economies of scale, you know, if you're going to do something and you all divided up to pay for this hall, and all of you coming in, well, it's cheaper to do it for your riding and for your riding, and if you get a piece of the action out of it, and that works. Building teams, strongly trusting and respecting each other. Because it's not just about respecting each other in a linear way, going down vertically, we gotta respect each other this way. So that the person with absolutely no money in their pockets to come to the table, but bring good ideas and are willing to do elbow grease, they have to have as much respect as the person who puts $1,100 down on the table. And what I found is interesting, you know, the Victory Fund. It's interesting to know some figures about the Victory Fund. We just covered this, we were told about it. Is that 85% of the people who contribute to the Victory Fund are not Liberals. They're not Liberal members. So that tells you 15% of the Liberal membership are contributing to the Victory Fund. So there's 85% of our Liberal membership that we got to go after for the Victory Fund. $5 a month. You know, you get steady cash coming into you for you to do the things you want to do. You know, so, and then if we have 85% of people who are putting money into the Victory Fund, but aren't members, maybe they are NDP, maybe they're PCs, maybe they're Greens, maybe they're people who don't want to even be politically affiliated. But if they like our movement and our cause, then let's get them to join the movement and cause without having to be a card-carrying Liberal. Let's welcome into the big red tent, as we like to call it. Let's really make it a big red tent. And so teamwork is going to have to work. We don't have enough of us on the ground in the West to be able to say that we can utilize our volunteers 50 times a year, when if we did teamwork and joint things, we would be able to only utilize those volunteers 7 times a year. So we're pacing our people, we're using people wisely, we're not burning them out. So there is everything to say about coming together, about working together, about working as teams, about building respect for each other, about learning to trust each other, about this thing that we tend to do as Liberals where we backbite each other constantly. We stick knives into each other when we're not looking. That's been the demise of this party, I have to tell you. It's been a real problem. You can point fingers, hey, it happened here under that person's leadership or under that. It's really not so. It's happened under everybody's leadership. It's happened, we've done it. We've all, if we didn't like Joe, we like Joe and Joe didn't win, well, we're not talking to anybody for a long time. We hate Joe. We're not going to house Joe because we didn't vote for him. That is ridiculous. I am an MP. I'm an MP for Vancouver Centre. There are a whole bunch of people in Vancouver Centre who did not vote for me. If I suggested that I won't help them or do anything to help them because they didn't vote for me, I would never be re-elected. That's not what I'm there for. I'm an MP. Once I'm elected in the MP and I have the power and I have the ability to change things, I change it for all. Whether you voted for me or you didn't vote for me. We have to believe in this party that we have got to fight our battles, be passionate about it, but when it's done, we go with whoever is there. We support whoever is there. We support each other and not factionalize ourselves again. Those are some of the things that I've been hearing as I go across the country. There's some of the things I'm hearing from my own writing. I'm hearing from British Columbians in a major way. And if we really believe, we have to bring back passion. We have to bring back all of the things we say we are and we say we believe in as Liberals. We have to walk the walk. And we have to do what we're doing right now. We have an interim leader for two years. We have 4 years. We know we have the time to take a breath, to relax, and hopefully this summer is our relaxing summer. After that, don't get to relax anymore. You know, to take a breath, to say, oh my gosh, we've been laboring every 2 years in the wilderness here, let's just take some time off. And then let's gear ourselves up and let's move forward. Let us bring people in, let us talk to people, not about joining necessarily, but about joining that movement of people who believe that there are certain ways that government has a role in the lives of people, that there are evidence-based ways to do things. Does it work? Has other people done it? Did it not work there? Then why the heck are we reinventing a broken wheel? Let us look at learning from each other. Let us work together. And that is all about mutual respect as well, which we always talk about as Liberals, and we don't live. So let us start doing those things that we believe in. Let us start really picking it up now that the summer is over and the call to arms is here. Let us go out there. Let us be a movement. Let us rally. Let us work together. And let us make sure that we are what we say we are. And that if you have to speak out, that you will do so with passion and with grace and with respect to make this party, once again, a party that is relevant, not just to Canadians, but to the world. Because that's who we were.